Now we're going to go through how XEN actually works. We're going to dive in straight to the protocol. We're going to dive into the math behind it. So we're going to do so by examining the formulas in the light paper. So you can go to faircrypto.org and download the latest version of the light paper. It's actually 1.5, which is the very latest, and I highly recommend that you read it. It's not too long, it's just a few pages. But yeah, I thought I'd go through the math in the protocol here because I want you to understand what's going on. So let's do it. So, all right, guys, here we have the light paper in front of us, version 1.5, version 1.5. So we scroll through the text here, yada, 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 and here we enter Valhalla. So up here we have the minting formula, beautiful formula, okay? And listen, if you get panic attacks from formulas in general, I want you to pause the video, go do some squats, get some oxygen in your brain, and then come back. It's really not that difficult as it looks like. I really want you to understand this, and I'm gonna break this down for you now, okay? So this is the minting formula, but we're actually gonna start by looking at this beautiful diagram down here. And we have some familiar terminologies here, which we already covered, but here we can actually see how it all connects visually. So at the start here, we have Genesis. This is when we launch the protocol, okay? This is gonna be at the end of this month, at the end of September, if all goes well, right? So this is when time starts for the protocol. We are before Christ right now, okay? So this is time 0 of the protocol. Then what happens here? Here is where you, for the first time, interact with the protocol. This is where you claim your rank, you know, just by connecting to the protocol and pressing a button, basically. The protocol will give you a C rank. And when you do that in the same transaction, you remember that you're also gonna choose your time, your mint term. And this is gonna be from 0 up to 100 days. That's gonna be possible up to 5,000 addresses, and then it's gonna increase. We're gonna talk about that later. So let's say we choose 100 days here. And after these 100 days, you're gonna come back to the protocol and you're gonna claim your mint, and you have 24 hours to do so. So what actually happens here? Well, you know, you're getting your C rank here, and it's a number between 0 and theoretically infinity. But let's say you get a C rank of 1,000. So what does that mean? That means that there are 999 people before you that have claimed their rank before you. So you're getting a C rank of 1,000. And then while you wait and do some push-ups, you and when you come back after this 100 days, there's gonna be other addresses that are interacting with the protocol in between, right? So this is what we call, at the time of the mint, the total amount of addresses that have interacted with the protocol since Genesis. At the time of your mint here, that's what we call a global rank. So actually when you claim your rank there, that is equal to the global rank at that point. But then it adds up, right? So the global rank here is going to be bigger. And the difference between the global rank, the CRG, and your rank is what we call the rank delta. Okay? So this is the rank delta. This is the mint term. This is the time of between 0 and 100 days. It's going to be from 0 up to 400 days. We're going to cover that later, but let's just think for now in this example that you claimed your crypto rank, you've chosen your mint term, and you're interacting with the protocol after 100 days, and then the global rank, that is the amount of people that has interacted with the protocol since Genesis, is going to be a number that's bigger than your crypto rank, right? Because many other addresses interacted after you, so the rank delta is your global rank subtracted by your crypto rank. That's the rank delta. And here we can see that we have something called the reward amplifier. So you can have this in mind, but just to explain it, right, it's a number that starts with 3,000, and every 30 days it's going to decrease by 30. Okay. So let's look at the formula now. Now we're going to explain the same thing, but we're going to look at the formula and explain it. So basically, your reward is going to be the second logarithm of the global rank minus your rank. Okay, let's just focus on this part for now. Forget about all of this. So what does this mean? That means the global rank minus your rank, that is the rank delta here that we saw below, right? And why do we make it logarithmic? Well, we make it logarithmic because this makes the whole formula become inflationary initially. And that is good because that is basically accelerating adoption. But with time, a logarithmic function like this pans out. And that makes the rewards disinflationary with time. You know, a second logarithmic formula like this looks something like, and don't pay attention to this, guys, but it looks something like this. This is also a logarithmic formula. So it's inflationary in the beginning, and then it becomes disinflationary with time. And that's one thing to point out. Another thing to point out, which is very interesting here, is that as you can see here, your crypto rank is subtracted by the global rank. So what does this mean? Well, it means that your reward is going to be bigger if the global rank is bigger. So what does this mean? Stay with me here, guys. This means that the more addresses that interact with the protocol after you actually claimed your crypto rank, the better it is for you. So you're actually incentivized to spread the word about XEN and to as many people as possible, because that means that the global rank is going to be as big as possible, which means that the rank delta is going to be a higher number. If this number is, if your crypto rank is 1,000, and what does that mean? That means that there have been 999 addresses interacted with the protocol before you, right? Okay, so after you claim your rank, there's 2,000 addresses that are interacting with the protocol after you. So that means that the global rank then is 1,000 plus 2,000, so it's 3,000. Okay, so that means we take 3,000 minus 1,000. So that's 2,000. Now, if you talk to more people, and if we all talk to more people, that means that maybe we have a rank delta. We have a global crypto rank of 4,000 here. So that means there's 4,000 that interacted with the protocol since Genesis, subtracted by 1,000. So that means we have a global rank of 4,000, right? And that means that the rank delta is 4,000 minus 1,000. So it's 3,000. So the point to make here is that this is what we mean when we say that we have viral tokenomics built in, adoption is built into the formula. You're actually incentivized to, everybody's incentivized to make this network spread. So it's logarithmic, right? So it's inflationary in the beginning and it becomes disinflationary with time as adoption moves on. So this is basically the first most important part of the formula. But then we have t here, and what is t? You already know what t is. T is the mint term, right? So this means that the longer that you've chosen your time, the more sen you will get. Because the bigger the t, the longer, the more days, it's multiplied, right? So the more days you have, it's gonna generate you even more sen. So this also means that the longer you are willing to delay your gratification of sen, the more sen you are going to get. And again, when you have a network of many people who are delaying this, the more robust the whole network becomes. Everyone is incentivized to have the mean term as long as possible. Then we've added two other components of this formula. We call this the time-dependent reward amplifier. Short, we call it the AMP. So what is the AMP? The AMP is something that's also going to incentivize faster adoption of the network. So the AMP is basically the maximum value of this part and minimum 1, right? So initially at Genesis it's 3,000 per day, as we can see in this diagram here. And then for every 30 days it's going to be reduced by 30. Don't be confused by all of this. It basically means that if you put in the numbers here, then for every 30 days it's going to be 3,000 minus 30. So after 1 month it's going to be, the AMP is going to be 3,000 minus 30, so that's 2,970, right? After 60 days it's going to be 30 times 2, so then it's going to be 3,000 minus 60, that's 3,940, and so on, all the way down to 1. So that's gonna take roughly 8 years, a little more than 8 years, before the amplification effect takes off. Right? So basically what it means is that you will be incentivized to, it creates sort of an urgency, right? You're gonna tell your friends, hey, if you're interested in this, then you probably should interact with the protocol this month and not wait for next month, because the AMP effect is going to be 30 more this month than next month. All right. So again, this is something that incentivizes adoption. Then we also have the last part of the formula, which is the early adopter amplification factor. This is what happens when Jack gets to choose the terminology here. We love it. The EAA. So this is exactly the same thing as the AMP, but the AMP is time dependent, right? So no matter how many people interact with the protocol, it doesn't really matter because it's based on time. It's just going to be reproduced on time. It's not going to, the AMP doesn't care about how many people interact with the protocol. Whereas the early adopter amplification factor does. Okay, so as we can see here in this formula, it's going to decrease. It's going to start from 10% and then decrease by 0.1% per each 100,000 increase in global rank. Okay, so put it another way, for each 100,000 addresses that interacts with the protocol, this early adopter amplification factor is going to be reduced by 0.1%. Okay, so if that's confusing, just think about it this way. You're going to get a bigger reward for your mint the earlier you are, and rightfully so, because you're earlier to help build the network and you need an incentive to do so. So this is an incentive to make the time dependent as long as possible. Is an incentive for you, and to spread the word and increase the global rank, it's an incentive for you and everybody to increase it. So that's basically it, guys. This is the foundation of the formula, and if this was complicated for you, it's because this is something you need to hear a couple of times. Maybe you should rewind the video and listen to it again, and maybe you should have someone else explaining it better than I can. Please give me feedback on this and I'll try to explain it in a better way. But this is basically how it works, and I personally think it's a very beautiful formula, and it's very easy to understand once you look at it a few times. Really have all of these factors which are helping and incentivizing the whole network to spread here. So what else? Let's continue. Let's talk about term limits. So what is term limits? We talked about it here, right? This is the mint term. So now we're gonna focus in on this part, the mint term here. You know, I told you that initially you can choose the mint term between 0 and 100 days, right? Up to 5,000 addresses. And here's actually the math, how it looks like. So if we look at this, it means that the so-called free mint term limit, okay, it's a very complicated word, but it actually means the amount of days you're allowed to choose your mint term. It's going to be initially 100 up to 5,000 interacting global addresses, you know, so that's the global rank right here. Then after 5,000 addresses have interacted with the protocol, it's going to follow this formula instead. So it's going to be 100 plus the second logarithmic of the global rank times 15. Okay, so if you plot this out in a diagram, it actually looks like this, right? It's a disinflationary curve. So here you can see after 5,000 addresses, it's going to be 100 days, and what we can also see just reading this plot is around here where 1 million addresses have interacted with the protocol, the free mint term limit is going to be roughly 400 days. So very interesting. So that's basically it, guys. Let me know if there's any questions on that. Let's talk about what else do we have here. We have penalties. Penalties. You remember that we talked about up here that if you have, when you claim your rank, you also choose your mint term, right? So you choose your mint term, and for example, we choose this to be 100 days, which is the maximum, right? So that means that we have 24 hours to claim our SEM without getting a penalty. But there's still a chance for you to get your SEM. It's up to 7 days for you to get SEM, and after day 7, the penalty is going to be 100%, no matter how many days the participation was. So you can also see that this is exponential increase in penalty after days. And the reason for this progression is to avoid bad actors that create ladders of invisible claims, basically. So what we're gonna do is, and this is like, why do you have this? Like, why couldn't I be able to be flexible in that mint term? This is part of the proof of participation. Like, this is part of the so-called proof of work you have to put in, if you like, to interact with this protocol to get your SEM. This is part of your obligation in order to get your SEM, in order to make the system work. So yeah, guys, let's move on. I think it's pretty clear. Let me know. We might need to cover this later as well. And now we have this next part, which is about staking some. So you have your freshly from the press minted SEM, and now it's this optional part where you can stake, and you're incentivized to do so. And you can then stake your SEM with a period that's limited to the following range, between 1 and 1,000 days. So here we can see in this table that if you stake your SEM within 0 to 90 days from Genesis, you will get 20% APY. So that means that, let's say I stake, we have an example here. Let's say I stake 100,000 SEM for 365 days, okay, within the first 90 days since Genesis. Then you'll be able to stake 120,000 SEM, right? So 100,000 plus 20% of 100,000 is 120,000 in total. And this is the formula for that. So your reward is the amount of staked SEM that you stake times the APY times the time. So the time says Genesis. So basically, this formula explains it, right? So the APY here is the max out of 20, which is the start APY, minus the days since Genesis divided by 90, and it's the maximum of this out of 2. So after 1,620 days from Genesis of the protocol, the staking reward is going to be 2% in perpetuity. You know, it's not sustainable to maintain 20% APY indefinitely. So it's again, it's another incentive for people to stake with the protocol with these staking rewards built in. Yeah, guys, so that's basically the math. It's not more complicated than that. This is probably complicated enough if you're not used to crypto and if you're not used to math, but this is the full picture. This is how you can make something very beautiful. And yeah, that's it. That's it. That's all I have to say. Isn't it amazing? Let me know, guys, if this was complicated or if this was clearly enough. We're happy to help you understand it. And again, you don't have to understand all of this mambo jumbo, okay? This is how it works. This is for those who's really interested in understanding the math behind it, but you don't really have to understand how this works if you're not interested. All you have to do is connect with the protocol, with your wallet, get your C rank, choose your time. Okay, it's 2 clicks of the button here, and then come back when the time, and then get your SEN. Okay, and then stake it. That's it. So it's pretty easy.